On this week's episode of the podcast, Smart Goals for Crushing Debt.
Welcome to the Crushing Debt Podcast with your host, Florida attorney Shawn Yesner, where our goal is to help you get rid of the financial bullies in your life.
So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law. And so I'm trying to think of some good topics for all of you, but also some topics that are consistent with the time of year where they're released. And so if you're listening to this episode on the day of release, let me be one of the first to say Happy New Year. This episode is going to come out on December 31 of 2020. So Happy New Year. But if you're listening to this episode after December 31 of 2020, I want the content to continue to be relevant for you. So I thought something that would be topical would be how I set goals in terms of eliminating debt. Now, before I get into that topic, I do want to mention for the last time this year, but not for the last time ever, our sponsor, Attorneys First Insurance. Sam Cohen with Attorneys First does a fantastic job. If you have any questions about malpractice coverage or E&O coverage, errors and omissions coverage, please contact Sam at Attorneys First Insurance. Now, you have to be an attorney or a title company in order to get malpractice insurance from Sam. Those are the only markets that he sells to, and he can sell malpractice insurance anywhere in the country, although if he's not licensed in a certain state, he can either get licensed or he can find you someone licensed in that state. So if you are an attorney or a title company, or if you're listening to this show and you know an attorney or a title company, it would mean a great deal to me and a great deal to Sam for you to introduce that attorney or title company to Attorneys First Insurance. And you can do that by contacting them at sam@attorneysfirst.com or going to their website, www.attorneysfirst.com. So December 31, typically a time where people start to think about, what do I want to accomplish in the following year? I mean, certainly I do this, and there are times where I might add a goal or two as the year goes on, as I accomplish some of the goals that I set for myself. I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions. I think, at least as I record this episode, New Year's resolutions have acquired a negative connotation because a lot of people give up on their resolutions after the first week, after the first month, after the first quarter of the year. And so rather than talking about resolutions, rather than talking about pie in the sky things that I want to accomplish, I'm going to talk about what are goals, what are my goals for 2021. Now, I assume if you're listening to this show that one of your goals is to get rid of debt. And so that's where I'm going to focus. Now, you may also be a real estate investor, and your goal may be to acquire more properties, acquire income producing properties, get better tenants, whatever. But I think I'm going to come at this week's episode from the perspective of what goals should I be setting in order to eliminate debt. Now, I am an attorney. I am not a business coach. But one of the things that business coaches have taught me over the years is that your goals need to be what are called SMART goals. And SMART is an acronym. S-M-A-R-T is an acronym. And S in SMART stands for specific. The M in SMART stands for measurable. The A in SMART stands for attainable. The R in SMART stands for relevant or results. And the T in SMART translates into time. Now, I've also heard another coach, Ford Kais from Action Coach, which is a great coaching franchise here in Tampa Bay. Let me know. I can introduce you to them. But one of the other things that Ford says is that your goals need to be SMARTY, S-M-A-R-T-Y, and the Y stands for your goals. So even though I'm going to give you examples of my goals, these things that you set need to be relevant to you. So your goals. But let me go into those in a little bit more detail. So a SMART goal needs to be specific. So I can't say, a goal of mine is to lose weight. That's not specific enough. How much weight do you want to lose? Do you want to lose 10 pounds? Do you want to lose 50 pounds? Do you want to lose 5 pounds of fat and gain 15 pounds of muscle? So you end up gaining weight, but you end up being more healthy because you're gaining more muscle than you are fat. So those goals need to be specific. Do I want to eliminate $5,000 in debt? Do I want to eliminate all of my debt? Do I want to eliminate my student loan debt? Don't just say, I want to eliminate debt in the new year. How much debt? What kind of debt? Get specific on the type of debt that you want to eliminate and write it down. write it down so that you can track your progress. Write it down so that you can remind yourself as the year goes on. Measurable. Again, measurable relates to specific a little bit. So if I say I want to eliminate debt, not only is that not specific, but I don't have any way to measure it. But if you say I want to eliminate $5,000 in debt, well, now I have a way to measure. When my overall debt is reduced by $5,000, I know I will have hit my goal. So you want to be able to measure. You don't want your goal to be so unspecific, non-specific that you can't measure whether you've hit it or not. If I say I want to lose weight and I lose a pound, hooray, I hit my goal. Or did I? Because I maybe wanted to lose more than a pound. If I say I want to get rid of debt and I make my credit card payment this month, hooray, I hit my goal. I got rid of my debt. So measurable. How much debt do you want to eliminate? They need to be attainable. So if you are $100,000 in debt and you say, I want to eliminate my debt by paying it down, but you make $25,000 a year, that goal is never going to be attainable. Now, if you say, I'm $100,000 in debt and I want to get rid of my debt and I don't care, so I'll file bankruptcy, maybe that goal will be attainable. So you need to make a goal that is attainable. And again, part of the reason I think here is because you don't want to short circuit yourself. You don't want to discount yourself. You don't want to make a goal that is so out there that you get discouraged when you can or cannot hit it. And so if you say, I have $100,000 in debt and I make $40,000 a year and I want to get rid of that $100,000 in debt by the end of the year, it may not be attainable. And when you see that your debt has gone from $100,000 down to $999,000 and you've only eliminated it by $1,000 in 6 months' time, well, it's not attainable. You're going to get yourself discouraged and you're never going to accomplish that goal. So you want to make sure that your goals are attainable. You want to make sure that they're relevant. So you want to make sure that they are goals that apply to you. So for example, I run on a regular basis. I coach my kids in soccer, and so I'm always running around, in soccer, playing sports with them, doing different things with them. So for me to set a goal that I want to lose weight, well, that may not be relevant to me because I don't really have very much weight to lose. So I can set a goal all day of losing weight, but I may actually become unhealthy by losing weight because I'm losing too much weight. Now, again, revert this back to your finances and your income. If you have a high-paying job, so let's say you have $100,000 in debt and you make $200,000 a year to a point where you could pay off your debt over time. Well, if you say, I want to eliminate $5,000 in debt, well, that may not be relevant to you because you could do that in one good paycheck. So you want to make sure that these goals that you're setting are relevant. The last thing is time-driven. So by when do you want to accomplish these goals? Again, what are you shooting for? What's the specificity? What can you measure? What are you shooting for? So I want to become debt-free, may be a good goal. I mean, you know what your number is. You know how to measure when you're debt-free. It's when you no longer have any debt. Maybe it's attainable based on the amount of debt and the income you have. Maybe it's relevant because you want to get out of debt. But by when? If I say I want to get out of debt and I accomplish that goal 2 years from now, well, so what? It was a goal I wanted to accomplish this year. So it needs to be time-driven. And then, again, as I mentioned from Ford and his team at Action Coach, many of whom, ironically, I think Ford is the only one that has not been on my show. Barb Kais has been on my show. Juliet has been on my show. Ford's wife, Ford's daughter. But Ford has not been on the show. So maybe one of my goals for 2021 is I will get Ford Kais from Action Coach to be on my show, on this podcast, within the next year of episodes. So there you go. Specific, I'm going to get Ford. Measurable, I know when he's on the show. Attainable, yeah, he's in one of my networking groups, and I have a great relationship with him, so I know all it will take is a phone call to reach out and get him on the show. It is highly relevant because he can talk about a lot of this stuff with you all as well in terms of setting goals to become debt-free and time-driven. I'm going to do it by the end of the year, by the end of the next year, so by the end of 2021. So there you go. That's a smart goal. And again, to take Ford's addition of Y, the letter Y, SMART goals, it is one of my goals. It is, I don't want Ford. I want Ford on there for all of you, but it is a goal of mine. So there you go. Now, once you have these SMART goals, or how do you develop these SMART goals? Well, one of the things that I do is I brainstorm. So I've talked a lot. I talked in the Become Debt Free book. I've talked on the podcast. I've talked in blogs and videos and whatnot. I have a book that I carry around with me every day. Now, I only use it the 5 work days of the week, Monday through Friday. But what I do is every day I write down what is my monthly goal, what is my weekly goal that supports that monthly goal, and what is the daily goal that supports the weekly goal that supports the monthly goal. And then I write down 6 things that I want to do to accomplish those goals in that day. And then I write down my thoughts. I journal. I write down affirmation statements. I write down how my week is going. Did I have a good day? Did I have a bad day? What do I do to improve my day? What do I do to accomplish my goals? I write down my thoughts. Well, at the beginning of that book, on the very first page of that book, are all of my goals. And that way I can track my goals. And so some of the things I've written down in the book that I have now, I want to run a 5K in under 30 minutes. I want to do my first sprint triathlon. I want to start up another podcast. And so I might be talking more about that in 2021, but I want to start up a second. So I will not stop crushing debt. I will not stop this podcast, but I want to start a second one. I want the law firm to hit a certain revenue goal. I want this podcast, to hit a certain revenue goal. I want some money in savings in the bank, and I'll talk about that in a little bit because I think that's an important point. I want to create an outdoor kitchen. Most of you know that I do have now 2 Big Green Eggs. Thank you to Tyler Sheff. Check out his podcast, the Cash Flow Guys podcast, if you want information on real estate investing and getting out of the rat race. But thank you to Tyler Sheff. I now have my 2nd Big Green Egg. And so I want to build an outdoor kitchen around my 2 Big Green Eggs. My staff bought me for my birthday a home brewing kit. So now I've got my 2 Big Green Eggs and I've got my home brewing kit. I would love to have an outdoor kitchen to surround those elements. I want to sell some real estate forms. So I've had this idea of creating different real estate type documents, contracts, leases, assignments, those types of things, land trusts. And I want to monetize that. I want to sell those. I want a certain number of downloads per month. Now I am happy to report that I've hit that goal. And so I will be adjusting that goal for 2021. My goal was 3,500 downloads a month, and I've hit that goal. So I want to increase that goal into 2021. I wanted to create a community for the Become Debt Free book and the Become Debt Free movement. And again, I've done that. So if you want more information on that community, you need to sign up by going and getting your free copy of the book. So SeanMYesner.com/Become Debt Free. It is behind a paywall, so you will need to pay to get access to that community, although you get access to a ton of other things. Now, I may, at some point in 2021, open up the community for free for a certain number of people just to build it and get some activity. I'll think about maybe doing that, early in January or February as a gift, even maybe to all of you listeners. But yeah, one of my goals for 2020 was to build a community around the Become Debt Free book, and I've started to do that. There are people in that Facebook group. I just need to get more people there, open it up. If you're, I'll say that now. If you're interested in joining the Become Debt Free Facebook group, send me an email, Sean@YesnerLaw.com. Forget the pay stuff, forget the paywall, forget buying anything. I would love for you to go to SeanMYesner.com/Become Debt Free and check out the Become Debt Free book. But I guess maybe I'm feeling generous because I'm recording this right around Christmas and New Year's. If you want access to that Become Debt Free community, if you want to join that Become Debt Free community, let me know and email me, Sean@YesnerLaw.com, and I'll send you that invitation. I wanted to create a budgeting seminar, and I'm proud to announce that is a goal that I have achieved. I participated in the Jumpstart 2021 seminar here a couple of weeks ago, and I did give a presentation on becoming debt-free. And so I did give a presentation around budgeting. So that is a goal accomplished. Another goal accomplished, I wanted to read 50 books. And so as I record this episode, I'm 1/3 of the way through book number 50, but by the time this episode comes out, I have to be done because I have to be done by the end of the year. So I will have read 50 books by the end of the year. Now that's read. That's not listened on Audible. That's flipped pages or flipped computer pages. Read 50 books in 2020. And I don't know that I'm going to get that aggressive with my reading goal for 2021, but I do enjoy reading quite a bit. One of my goals was to publish book number 2, which Become Debt Free. So I accomplished that goal, and then launching a funnel to promote the sale of the book. And so those are all the goals that I have written down in the book that I carry with me every day, where I track my goals and I journal. What are some of your goals, and how are you going to track them? Now, one of the ways that I created those goals was I just brainstormed. I sat down one day when it was really, really quiet, and I said, what do I want? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want a year from now as I sit back and reflect? What are the things I want to accomplish? What are the things that I want to do? Where are the places that I want to go? What are the things that bring me joy, aside from my wife and kids? What do I want to accomplish? And I brainstormed, and I literally just started writing those things down. Now, some of those things I took off the list, or maybe dropped to the bottom of the list because they weren't really relevant to me at the time. But I brainstormed and I wrote down. There was no specific order. I think I took like 20 to 30 minutes, and I just sat and thought and wrote and thought and wrote and thought and wrote. And so what I did was I came up with this huge list, and some of it pared down and some of it combined. Some of the goals were the same. And so I was able to sort of shrink down the list that way. And then that's what I do every month. I pick one of those goals, and which one of these goals do I want to accomplish, and what can I do towards accomplishing those goals? But I needed that quiet time. And for me, as most of you know, my quiet time is at 5 o'clock in the morning when I wake up. The house is quiet. The wife is asleep. The kids are asleep. I get to make a cup of coffee. I get to sit out on my back patio or sit on the couch, read, think about what do I want to accomplish, get some kind of work project done, get some kind of personal project done. It's quiet, it's peaceful, and it's my time. And so that's when I do a lot of this journaling and a lot of this reflection. Some people might even call it meditation, and that's when I do it. So you need to brainstorm. You need to brainstorm, and you need to think about what is it that you want to accomplish? What are the things that you want to do? And again, I'm assuming if you're listening to this show that one of those things is eliminating debt or becoming debt free. And so we're going to dig into that. Now, the other thing that I try to do is frame all of these goals in the positive. So one of the things that you heard, one of my goals was to have 6 months of savings in the bank. Now, the way that goal started was I wanted to eliminate my credit card debt. Well, eliminating credit card debt, when I say credit card debt, that plants the seed in my mind that I have credit cards, that I'm going to spend on those credit cards. And so I needed to reframe for me that goal in a more positive light. And so what I said was I wanted 6 months savings in the bank. Now, in order to get 6 months savings in the bank, I needed to eliminate my debt. So, to achieve that goal, I had to achieve the other goal, but I framed it in the positive. Instead of saying, I want to eliminate credit card debt, I said, I want 6 months savings in the bank. So how can you frame these goals in a way that is positive? Now, maybe it is positive for you to say, I want to pay off $10,000 of credit card debt. I want to pay off $30,000 of student loan debt. I want to pay off my car and own it free and clear. I want to pay off my house and own it free and clear. And again, you would put the balance that you owe to pay off the car, the balance that you owe to pay off the house. But how can you frame these goals in a way that's positive, that excites you about accomplishing them? So to say, I want to pay off debt versus I'm going to pay off $100,000 of debt in the next 6 months. Do it in a way that shocks you. Do it in a way that pushes you. Do it in a way that's positive. Do it in a way that causes you to get up excited every morning that you're one step closer to that goal that you've been trying to accomplish, and get it done in 2021. So what are you going to do to accomplish these goals? How disciplined are you going to be? Again, these are not New Year's resolutions. I know that this episode is coming out on December 31st, but these are not New Year's resolutions. These are goals that you're going to accomplish in the next 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. These are goals that you're going to accomplish. These are not resolutions that you're going to give up on in the first quarter of the year. These are goals that you're going to accomplish in the time frame that you set, because they're smart goals. The last thing I will do, well, one of the last things, the second to last thing I will do, Many of you don't know, December 31 is my little sister's birthday. And I don't know whether she listens to the podcast or not, but if she does, and if she's stuck around this long, happy birthday, little sister. Happy birthday, Bryn. The last thing that I want to do is how can I help you accomplish the goals that you've set? Again, I'm not a business coach. I think if I wasn't a lawyer, I would like to be a business coach, but I am not a business coach. I am a lawyer. But if you want me to help you connect to a business coach, I can certainly do that. If you want to go through some of these goals with me, I'm happy to jump on a quick call. Let's go through some of your goals. Let's see if we can get them framed in a way that is smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-driven. Let's see if we can come up with a plan on how you can accomplish those goals. Let's frame them in a positive light. Let's brainstorm on some of the goals that you could set for yourself. So how can I help you accomplish your goals in 2021 and beyond? If you're listening to this episode later, how can I help you accomplish your goals whenever you're listening to this episode, whether it be on its day of release or sometime after that? So a little bit of a shorter episode given the length of some of my previous episodes, but I thought it was an appropriate podcast episode for December 31. Luckily, today is the last day of 2020. I know 2020 has been a challenging and trying year for many of us, and I hope that 2021 turns out to be much, much better than 2020. And if there's anything that I can do to help you with those goals, please let me know. One way that you can support me is, again, going to SeanMYesner.com/become-debt-free. Check out a free copy of my book and some of the other things that I've got for sale along with the book. Thank you all for your listening. Thank you all for your time. Thank you all for coming on this journey with me. We're pushing 5 years of episodes. I'm going to get to year 5 here soon of episodes. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your listening. Thank you for your support. I hope that everybody has a happy and safe New Year's Eve celebration tonight. I hope everybody has a happy, safe, and prosperous 2021. And if you're listening to this episode after 2021, I hope you have a safe and prosperous year whenever it is that you're listening to this episode. Thanks again. I hope that at the end of the month you have more money rather than at the end of the money you have more month. Have a happy new year. I will see you in 2021. That'll do it for this year's episode. And we will be back next week with another episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.
If you have questions that you think would make a great topic for a future episode, please email Sean or connect with us on social media. Sean Yesner and Yesner Law, PL, are Florida licensed attorneys. The information contained in this week's episode is not a substitute for legal advice. Your situation may differ, especially if you are located somewhere other than the state of Florida. If you have questions, please contact our office or contact a local attorney. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.